Oh man. I do love these. This is like for me. Watching these motherfuckers get booed at. Oh, it's so good. God damn it, it's so good. It's hard for me to not see the similarities here. This is the New York Post is doing what that pedophile Israel lolly defender is doing. Zohran Mamdani is 1,000,000% done. Every other week. Zohran Mamdani is 100% done. Zohran Mamdani is 200% done.
These are some of the young progressives in the party on who should lead Democrats.
I really like AOC. Unfortunately, I would like to see her stand and be more vocal about Palestine. But other than that, I really think that she should be the leader of the Democratic Party, as she is a Democratic socialist. Being also a young person, a young voter, a college student, seeing people like Zohran Mamdani, AOC just gaining so much more footing and so much more recognition in the policy field is very empowering.
I think candidates like Zohran Mamdani and AOC are really inspiring to see. They, someone like Mamdani, a Muslim like me, and Zainab here, it's so inspiring to see. And so I think that someone like that.
By the way, they're showing these kids to be like, look at how scary and brown the Democrats are.
2028 can carry a lot of momentum. I think people are so excited.
So it goes back, Lawrence, to our point earlier about nothing's changed, no lessons learned. Right. It's resist Donald Trump and move as far left as possible in the Democrat Party. AOC and others seem to be still getting the attention.
Yeah, and that's where all of the energy is for them. Look, losing stinks. It's the worst. And when you lose, everybody's a loser. You look backwards and you see Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, and they're both losers. And you start seeing them start like carping back and forth. And then you look forward and you have AOC and Mamdani and others who are part of the truly radical, crazy left-wing fringe of the party that, say what you want to about somebody like Nancy Pelosi. She was very effective at... Dude,
isn't that great? Isn't that great? Now that there's actual leftist candidates, they immediately went back to glazing Nancy Pelosi, who they used to call a communist radical.
Keeping the fringe part of her candidate of her party.
Perhaps this is a note for the centrist center-right Democrats. If they want more popularity from and more of a defense from the Republicans, they should allow the left to thrive in the party, so the Republicans will gladly vote for you.
Wraps. As she kind of rides off the sunset, Chuck Schumer is left. He doesn't know what to do. He has no ability to keep this fringe under wraps. And that's where all the energy is. That's where all the excitement is. The problem is when you get outside of the party, there isn't a broad, widespread general.
AOC pro-Israel, though. AOC is not pro-Israel, dude. I mean, her decision is her decision to try to separate defensive weapons to Israel from offensive weapons to Israel is fucking stupid. Either she doesn't believe that Israel is doing a genocide, and that's the reason why she wants them to have defensive weapons capabilities, or she thinks Israel is doing a genocide, which I have no reason to believe that she doesn't believe that, because she said it on the fucking floor of Congress at a time when it was an unimaginably costly thing to say as a national candidate. Okay? It's the truth. But that should not, make no mistake. It's the truth, and every politician should say it. You're crying because you're scared of chat. I'm so scared of chat that I spend hours upon hours yelling at my chat every single fucking day. It's so funny, people try to be like, Hasan, you do this or you do that because of outside influence or whatever. And it's like, I am an incredibly stubborn person, okay? I need you to understand something. I'm an incredibly stubborn person to a fucking fault. Okay? I do not shelter you from my opinion. I don't do that. I've never done that, and I will never do that. And it is to a fault. I get fucking yelled at quite a bit by my chat. I get yelled at quite a bit from former chatters who now hate me. I get yelled quite a bit by people who fucking despise me and have always despised me because they think my worldview is scary. Okay? There's a couple things you can't say about me. You can call me a terrorist, but you can't call me a liar. Okay? You can call me a radical, but you can't say that I don't work hard and I say exactly what I feel every single day. That is the reason why I'm here instead of like on CNN slop serving you liberal talking points. Okay? You don't have to agree with it. You don't have to agree with my opinion. It's my job to try to convince you. It's my job to tell you exactly why I feel the way I do. Cut out AOC, dog. There's no accidental voting in a genocide. I'm not saying that this is not worthy of yelling at AOC over. I'm just not in the AOCIA camp. Okay? You have to, no matter what, you have to judge politicians on a curve. You have to grade them on a curve. Mamdani is a way better Dem progressive representative. I agree. But we haven't seen what Mamdani is going to look like yet. So far, you're right. 100%. AOC is just Pelosi. AOCIA. Don't fawn over politicians. Don't develop parasocial relationships with politicians. Use them. Okay? They're there for you to use them. They're there to be your servants. For the most parasocial community around chatters really don't like giving Hasan any charitability or just general understanding of context. Huh? That's odd. Yeah, I know. It's a vicious fucking group of people in here.
Election support for this crazy nonsense. Full-blown communism here in New York City.
Well, you're right, Charlie. I think what this new generation of socialist Marxists, what they do very well is they diagnose the problem very well. When they talk about affordability and they say, you know, you should, the quality of health care, even...
Wow. A socialist is good at diagnosing the problems of capitalism? Shocking. I for one, am shocked. That's crazy. You don't say, wow. Wow. How'd that happen? AOC getting outflanked by right-wingers and embarrassment? Absolutely. AOC should be the one putting the fucking provisions to be like, no weapons, defensive, offensive. Israel's doing a genocide. Not fucking Marjorie Taylor Greene. It is an embarrassment that there is not a fucking singular Democratic leader that is out there. I mean, there's actually, that's not true. There are exceptions to this. Obviously, you have Ilhan Omar. You have Rashida Tlaib. You even have fucking Al Green. But as far as like prominent figureheads in the party, Marjorie Taylor Greene is doing more than fucking AOC is in terms of like yelling about what Israel is doing. And that shouldn't be the case because she's grifting. The media should be constantly talking about how hard AOC is on Israel. Okay, you got Summer Lee too. There's plenty. There's in comparison to the Republicans have Thomas Massey. That's it. No one else. If AOC was this like clever, conniving, cynical politician that many present her as, she would be actively banging the drums, and she should be regardless. Why do you think she's not? Because she has horrible instincts. I think she gets duped easily, especially when it comes to foreign policy. I don't know if it's like who's in her circle. I don't know if it's because of who is around her, who she's surrounded herself with. But when it comes to foreign policy, it's her weakest part. That and also like getting caught up with like aesthetic liberalism a lot. But I guess the aesthetic liberalism actually helps her with like the base of the Democrats. That's why like a lot of Democrats love her. A lot of like regular ass liberals love her, but don't necessarily love Bernie Sanders.
What's happening in Gaza? They say the children should not be dying. of course, they don't say Hamas is responsible for a lot of the deaths there. Many of their solutions are so jacked up, but they do a great job in telling the American people, I understand your pain. Kind of, in effect, like Donald Trump, addressing the working class, people that feel forgotten in America. His solution is different. Bill Maher has a warning for the Democrats. Okay, yeah, these young people are crafty, they are inspirational. But if you run these people, the GOP will win the next election. Watch.
Do you think that he would have the power and influence to be able to, like, usher in socialism?
He definitely has the power and influence to elect.
Is that Brian Tyler Cohen on Club Random?
J.D. Vance or whoever is the Republican candidate next time. It is a walking commercial for the Republican Party
I think
nationally.
the Republicans are going to.
When you let the Democrats, socialists, and now they're actually calling themselves socialists, when you let them take over a major American city, this is what you get.
You know, if you're engaging with a psycho who all they care about is controlling you, they're very good at diagnosing problems.
Yeah.
Bro, they sound like libs. They're doing the fucking liberal therapy speak. I don't care about Afghanistan. It was my own personal Afghanistan every time my father turned the key to the door. When you see a psychopath, he's doing Darvo. Zohran is doing Darvo. They sound like Ethan Klein defenders, dude. Which is ironic because, like, all of that applies way better to fucking Ethan Klein himself, or in this case, Fox News.
Very good at figuring out what your weak points are. And that's, I would argue.
Brian Kilme is like, Zohran is love bombing the American working class. And guess what? Just like my ex-boyfriend, he's going to start ghosting you. Okay. And then you'll see when the split up happens, it will be severe. And after love bombing you and giving you all of the attention and all the love and having you expect it all the time, he's just going to pull that away. And then you'll see what happens.
What a lot of these people are doing.
That's right.
They recognize that if you can focus on these problems, then you can, use that dissatisfaction to gain power for yourself.
right.
When I see his face, I think immediately of his pitch for government-run, grocery stores.
That'll work out.
And I don't think there's any reasonable American who hears that and thinks that that's something that will work for them and their family.
But he's winning. And all of the polls right now.
Damn, they sound scared, bro. They sound positively scared. What happened? At first, they were, quote unquote, celebrating because Zohran is going to destroy the party. And Bill Maher is saying that too. So why are these guys not excited? Why are these Fox News commentators not excited that Zohran is going to destroy the party? What is happening?
If you take Sliwa out of the polling, he still wins. If you take Adams out of the polling, he still wins. If you take Cuomo out of the polling, he still wins in New York City. This is supposed to be the financial capital of the world, and people are willing to elect a...
Yeah, it turns out that, well, ironically, there's still plenty of finance people who are also, lower level finance guys who are in dire need of assistance. That's number one. And number two, outside of that, there are plenty of other sectors in New York as well. It's a fucking densely populated city. There's people from all different backgrounds. And guess what? They all like free buses. They want fast and free buses. They want to fucking rent freeze. They like it. Yeah. Guys, I'm beginning to think that the real minority is actually the super wealthy. It turns out there's not that many of them. And when someone can make a convincing case that they're going to fight like hell to improve most people's living standards, people respond positively to that sort of thing. And I cry foul. I think I'm going I'm going to blow the whistle on this. I'm crying to the referee. Excuse me. What about the rules? You're not supposed to do that. Come on. Talk about how you're a small business. Talk about how your mother was a small business. Why are you not doing that? Why are you not talking about $50,000 in tax credits for small businesses in underserved neighborhoods, especially after you got a college degree from a community college? Why? That was good. Can we get back to that, please? That was much easier to defeat. Now you're talking about how you're actually going to do shit. And it seems like people like that. And it seems like a lot of people, there's a lot more people out there than my favorite people, the only people who should have people status, which is rich people.
Socialist. And, you know, I don't want him to win. I hope people wake up. But I think this will be the next mayor of New York. And the question is, what are we going to do about it?
Yeah, it'll be terrible for New York City, but Republicans will be able to run on this issue for as long as that guy's around.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a huge boon for Republicans.
Like, make no mistake, Zohran is a socialist, sure. But none of his policies are fucking implementing socialism. These guys are not mad about the scary policies of Zohran. They're like, oh, he's doing socialism. What is he doing? Fast and free buses. Already been done. Zohran literally pushed for it. Eric Adams gave in. Okay? Rent freeze happened numerous times. Not under Eric Adams, of course. But it's like these guys are fucking freaking out. How is what you do okay and bettering everything? I don't know. I mean, if you hate the Republicans, I played somewhat of a role. This community plays somewhat of a role in the guy that they're talking about getting elected and winning the fucking Democratic primary, and it's pissing off the fucking Republicans. So at least on that end, if you're a liberal and you don't care about anything, you don't care about like real change that will help the American working class, you can at least enjoy the show, you know?
And conservatives around the country, and New York City is going to pay their...
I will say this finally, when it comes to Bill Maher, it is so refreshing to see, once you remove the TDS, the Trump derangements, how you're able to look at the landscape and think logically. Bill Maher is still liberal. He's still a Democrat at heart.
No, he's not.
But he looks at the deck much differently now that he's met the president.
Can you explain why you criticize the small business support talking point? Because there are look, every small business is not just owned and operated by one person. Usually, when you think about it, let's say the average small business like hires, 2 people. And that's not the only kind of business, obviously, out there. There are much more workers than there are owners of small business in this country. Okay? There are far more workers that work at a small business or work at a big business in this country than there are small business owners. So the policies that you should be implementing should not be focused on small business owners. It should be focused on all Americans. Okay? It's an idiotic rhetorical trap that the Democrats can get themselves caught in. Small business, as a talking point, used to only be implemented by the Republicans who are obviously at the behest of big business, but they can't say we love big corporations. So they had to say, oh, we love small businesses. We want to defend small businesses. How do we defend small businesses? By, doing policies that also help big businesses. Now Democrats say it. That's what small businesses is supposed to be for. It's a talking point for the Republicans.
What's happening in the country. The liberals can recover. They can find some type of candidate, but they got to stop focusing on Donald Trump. You can't look at every single issue and look at the president. You got to have your own policy prescriptions. And so now he's warning them, guys, if you do this, you may get a temporary sugar high because this crazy leftist, but you can't run a candidate like that nationally. People don't like you taking their money.
Yeah.
This is still America.
If Bill Maher can see it, it must be obvious.
Yep.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade. Meantime, President Trump says he will, quote, substantially raise tariffs on India because the country, he says, keeps buying what he refers to as massive amounts of Russian oil.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I love that they gave up on beating on Mamdani. Yeah, they've already admitted defeat. They saw the poll numbers. By the way, speaking of Mamdani, there was a really funny thing that happened where Eric Adams, where the is it? I need you to see this thing, okay? Eric Adams posted about the Jewish vote in New York City. And I'm sure you guys have seen this, right? There's a couple things I want to talk about with Zohran Mamdani. Number one, the Eric Adams thing. Eric Adams War Room Twitter account. Okay, here it is. New poll among Jewish voters. Eric Adams at 25%. Andrew Cuomo at 21%. Curtis Lewa at 14%. Jewish voters are behind Eric Adams. And if you add all those numbers, it doesn't add up to 100%. I wonder why. Oh, that's right. Because they took out Zohran Mamdani from the poll. It's weird because the plurality is missing from this. Huh. Well, it turns out Mamdani actually has 37% of the Jewish vote in the New York City mayoral polling. Now, I can't get over that. It's so fucking funny, dude. Wow. Suspiciously, 37% of the voters are gone. I wonder who they voted for. Well, I guess Eric Adams has decided those aren't Jews no more. God, I love Eric Adams so much because like even the people that he has hired have the same like the mind of a stupid that Eric Adams has. It's awesome. It's fucking dope, dude. 37% died mid-poll. We can never know their answers. Invented a new way to say the truth. Yeah. No. Oh, you say those Jews must be really anti-Semitic? Well, guess what? That is unironically the argument that people are making, as a matter of fact. Okay? So you're not wrong. We're now officially at the stage where Jews who are voting, the New York Jews who are voting for Zohran, actually also are a part of the problem. So they're saying the plurality of Jews that are voting for Zohran Mamdani are also self-hating Jews, which is not even a joke anymore. That's like a real thing that people are fucking saying. I saw that. I'm sure you guys saw that fucking viral Twitter post of we got to burn the village to save the village ass Twitter post that someone made about in the aftermath of this poll. Someone was like, yeah, actually, the Jews in New York are wrong. This is hilarious. Two recent polls by GQR Research and Zenith Poll show Mamdani with a commanding lead among Jewish New Yorkers, but rather than cite them, Liam Stack frames the question as ontologically unknowable and ignores them. GQR was commissioned by a pro-Israel lobbying group, by the way. It is difficult to determine how many Jewish voters supported Mr. Mamdani because even in New York, the Jewish population is too small to be measured with precision by most polls. Oh, here it is. They've reached it. We have to destroy the village in order to save its stage of the anti-Semitism discourse. Here is Melanie Phillips, columnist of the Times of London. Zohran Mamdani leads among Jewish voters by a 17-point margin in the race to become New York City's next mayor. Mamdani, a Shia 12er Islamist, will bankrupt and Islamize New York and pose a threat to his Jewish community. With their Pavlovian reflex to support the Democratic Party and its anti-West, anti-white, anti-Jewish ideological dogmas, it was entirely predictable that before long, these U.S. Jews would themselves become a threat to the Jewish people. The moment has arrived. It's crazy how much you can get away with, like how racist you can be, as long as you claim to be defending Jews. You can literally be like the most anti-Semitic person. And still, as long as you're defending Israel, it's fine. Okay? Like this right here. This entire statement is unimaginably racist. Not that it fucking matters. Nobody cares about this anymore. Okay? No one fucking cares about racism. There's just no care or consideration. Yeah. Melanie Phillips is like, those Jews are bad for the Jews, which is why we should make a list of their names and maybe put them in concentration camps, to defend Jews, of course. the plurality of Jews like Zohran, and therefore they must also go because they're obviously against the better interest of Jews. So what happens when it's the majority of Jews? Like, at what point do you go, yeah, okay, we either give up this fight or just, you know, put them in concentration camps altogether because of how fucking aggressively Islamophobic you are? This is the Londanistan lady? Of course she is. You know you're supposed to only do one gummy at a time, right? This post is somehow both Islamophobic and anti-Semitic. I'm impressed. It's true. She hit the double. She was like, it's a given that we have to obviously put all Muslims in concentration camps. But honestly, we should probably put the Jews there too. Just, you know, the Jews that like the Muslims. Yeah, this was funny. New York Post also had a hit piece on Zohran Mamdani. I'm not obviously showing that to you. I'm instead showing this joke because the real hit piece is like probably going to do his campaign. I'll be honest. The real hit piece that the New York Post came up with Zohran, it destroys him. It's over for him. It's straightforwardly over for his career. Okay. Oh, I accidentally clicked on the link. F in ethics. Zohran Mamdani left off stealing a table in college. That'll do it. No, it's over. It's done. It's done. It's done. It's done. Passing off his own self-deprecating college column as a scoop, and it's about borrowing a table from his old dorm room for a couple days to play beer pong. Is hard. It's hard for me to not see the similarities here. This is the New York Post is doing what that pedophile Israel lolly defender is doing. Zohran Mamdani is 1,000,000% done. Every other week. Zohran Mamdani is 100% done. Zohran Mamdani is 200% done. Which one? The VTuber one. That's like a real freak. Our goat is super washed. Who is our goat?
Yeah.
Former Vice President Kamala Harris won't run for California governor next year, but Minnesota Governor Tim Walz tells CBS News she would make an outstanding president, and then a 2028 presidential run would be good for the country. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to see it. I don't want to hear it. Wait, Tim Walz endorsed Jacob Frey? Oh, he's done. Oh, I'm done. I'm done with Tim Walz. That is the lamest. He endorsed Jacob Frey instead of Omar Fateh. He sucks, dude. F you, Tim Walz. That is disappointing as shit. Wow. That is Minnesota Governor Tim Walz endorses incumbent Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey for re-election. Who's Jacob Frey? Jacob Frey is the current mayor.
Has filed a protest with the state DFL party citing.
He's the incumbent, as the title suggests. We've been knowing this in Minnesota. Tim Balls is not it. Yeah, he's endorsing the incumbent mayor who, like, technically did not participate in the primary and is like Omar Fateh is the pick for Tim Walz's party. Okay, the Democrat Farm Labor Party has chosen Omar Fateh as its candidate. That is the party that Tim Walz is also a part of. So his own party in Minnesota chose Omar Fateh as the candidate for mayor. Ironically, this endorsement hurts Walz more than it helps Frey in Minnesota, in Minneapolis, because Frey is hated here. Yeah, I genuinely think this hurts Walz more than Fateh, not because Fateh is so popular that he has zero challenges to overcome, but because Frey is so deeply unpopular. Walz is spending political currency he doesn't have on this endorsement for a candidate no one wants. His own party didn't want him. Even if we have a vastly different grievances, the group of people who don't want Frey is so large, his campaign associates have begun ripping right out of the Trump playbook at a desperate last grasp on the electorate. Election denialism is not popular among normies. Frey's campaign associates spend the majority of their time harassing Twitter lefties to please Carol Beckers of the world in the absence of actual policy, and now they're getting dog-walked by not one but two serious challenges, and they're crying and puking. Not to do too much armchair psychology, but I honestly feel like Tim would be a Dwayne Davis guy. It would have been refreshing to see him go that direction. It would have been nice to show solidarity with the DFL and endorse Fateh, but this is a puzzling choice. Usually DFL can't even come together to support one candidate, so it was powerful Fateh got the nomination. Minneapolis residents here, Waltz and Frey are fucking toast because of this. Frey takes care of homelessness just like Gruesome Newsom. I really did think Tim Walz was a good dude. But, you know, once again, I don't love any politician. I don't consider any politician to be my friend. I don't have any parasocial relationships with politicians. And politicians will always hurt you. Politicians will always end up disappointing you. And Tim Walz has been a spectacular disappointment. That is shocking. It's also just a bad decision in general. Would you have a sexual relationship with a politician? Only Trump. If Tim Walz isn't supporting Somaliopolis, then I'm not supporting him. Yeah, that's right. He's there with us, and we're there for him. We want Somaliopolis. Yeah. Also, breaking news: Zohran Mamdani allegedly filled a water cup with Dr. Pepper at Wendy's. It's time. It's time for a non-criminal candidate like Andrew Cuomo or Eric Adams. Here, Elizabeth Warren. Elizabeth Warren also defending Zohran Mamdani.
You know, I wonder, though, often we see this, and this is a local election. New York does not operate in a vacuum. It competes with other cities. And so this idea of somehow raising taxes on the wealthiest New Yorkers who...
We have Omar Fateh on the stream. Yeah, I'm gonna do a Zoran style thing with him as well. I haven't reached out to his team yet, but I will.
By the way, I would point out, pay roughly 15% of their income right now between city and state. Raising taxes on them will simply drive them away. Shouldn't the focus of a mayor be on delivering services to the constituents of the city and doing that by raising the most revenue as possible without chasing businesses and the high-income taxpayers out of the city, because they can go to Austin, they can go to Dallas, they can go to Atlanta, they can go to Nashville. This is your issue. It's a national issue, not a local issue.
The issue is affordability. Do you know how many working families are chased out of New York City every day because they can't afford housing, they can't afford groceries, they can't afford child care? What Zohran is saying is, I want people to be able to afford to live in New York City. That's what keeps it a vibrant city. That's what makes people want to live
Nobody
here.
disagrees with that, Senator, but raising taxes in order to do it? Why is that the answer?
Oh, dear. Are you worried that billionaires are going to go hungry?
Oh, man, I can't believe it. Elizabeth Warren. Ay, ay, ay. It's just like she's so good at times and just so bad most of the time. When she's good, she's one of the top, though. Like Lena Khan is a great example, okay? When Elizabeth Warren is on the ball and she's and she's just like invested in the process, she's so goddamn good. But then usually she's just I can't get a good fucking read on people like this. I just don't understand it. Like, why? The Barbers and the Brendas in Nebraska are wildin'. Yeah, I saw the Mike Flood thing. Hold on. Never forget. What was it? Big Structural Bailey. Big Structural Bailey, chat. Don't forget. Who could forget Big Structural Bailey? It lives in my mind. It seems like a lot of you have forgotten Big Structural Bailey, and I don't like it. Okay? Yeah. Oh, this one was really good too, of course. Elizabeth Warren staffers criticized for getting tattoos that resemble Holocaust numbers. Yo, that shit was fire, dude. That was, dude, the Elizabeth Warren campaign was so funny. The blood and teeth. First campaign, first tattoo. Elizabeth Warren wrote out the Liberty Green hex code for us. There's got to be at least one who's still running around with the Holocaust tattoo, you know? At least there's got to be at least one Elizabeth Warren staffer that was just like, I don't have the money to get it fixed. So good. They're in the chat. No. Elizabeth Warren's like existing staffers hate me. Remember, I got kicked out of the room when I was at the DNC, and the only time where like a DNC staffer or a Democrat staffer straight up was like loud with me was some fucking Elizabeth Warren staffer who was like, you need to get the fuck out right now. I was like, excuse me. Because I'm a Bernie bro. Yep. With the pepperoni nips. Big structural Bailey. This and the Pete Buttigieg song lives in my mind. Remember the Pete Buttigieg song and dance? God, what a fucking insane primary season that was. When you have high hopes for a minute. Yeah, this is the best Elizabeth Warren tweet, and it's not even Elizabeth Warren. It's Donald Trump's tweet about Elizabeth Warren. Best line in the Elizabeth Warren beer catastrophe is to her husband, "Thank you for being here. I'm glad you're here. It's their house. He's supposed to be there." Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah, here. This was my old loading screen. What's going on, everybody? Oh, I have to have high hopes for... Okay, we're going to perfect that dance. I just took a shower. Okay?
You don't love justice. You love your father.
What's up, Coof Town?
Protein.
Did you bottle your... Coof Town. Let's see if what this user is up to. Gone. Sweat, I literally hate you. I understand hate watching now. Okay. Hi. Money changed you, Brody. That's the funniest. 5 years later and you still can't dance? I know. Anyway, let's finish this.
No, I'm worried that they're going to leave and spend their money elsewhere.
You know, they've threatened to do that over and over and over.
And they have. They've left.
But here's the thing.
And Goldman Sachs, when they create new jobs, they do it in Dallas. And Blackstone won't build a new headquarters. They go on and on.
You want to have a workable city.
No.
You want to have a city.
No. Blackstone won't create new headquarters, dude. I guess we just never. You had the OG TikToker haircut? Yeah. I've always been the OG TikToker haircut guy.
That's vibrant. You want to have a city where the streets are full, where there are things for sale 24 hours a day. Then you need people who can live here and work
Well, we've
here.
got that right now,
Not
by the
people
way.
who
I
have
would
to
point
take
out
an
New
hour
York
and a
is
half in.
thriving. So right
Well,
now it's doing pretty well, actually.
I'm glad you think they're doing well because a lot of people are struggling to pay for housing. A lot of people are struggling to pay for groceries. And I got to tell you, mamas and daddies who are facing $25,000 a year to pay for childcare.
Those
a lot
are
of them
national issues. I mean, I know they are the local state, but you can't.
New York City.
Yes, but if you deal with them in that way, by what is always your backup, just tax them more, they will leave.
No, the backup is make this city and make this country work for everyone. I get that the Republican point of view is make this country and make every city in this country work better and better for a handful of billionaires and let everybody else eat dirt. But what Mamdani won on in a Democratic primary is he said, I'm going to address affordability. And he didn't win by one vote.
No, he won by a lot. It's very much
won by a
unclear he
lot.
has the ability to actually do it, by the way, based on the laws and what the governor has to say and what he would actually have to do.
You know, I love that as the fallback position, and that is he's fighting for the right thing, but maybe the billionaires will have a way to
everybody
block
wants
him.
a more affordable city. There's no doubt about that. The question is how you go.
I actually do have a doubt about
you
that. The
build more
billionaires
housing.
sure don't want to pay their part on this.
You build more.
Please. Look at this. Republican Mike Flood's comments being drowned out by chance to tax the rich at his town hall.
Next slide, please. No taxes on overtime.
Some more choice moments.
It's about two
The people are rising up.
big changes to the Medicaid program. One of those changes is that if you are able to work and you are able-bodied, you have to work. If you choose not to work, you do not get free health care. You do not get free health.
Boo. Oh man. I do love these. This is like for me. Watching these motherfuckers get booed at. Oh, it's so good. God damn it, it's so good.
Okay. So here's a question. Do you think that people who are 28 years old that can work and refuse to work should get free health care? I don't think that a majority of Nebraskans agree with you.
Yeah. The majority of Nebraskans hate free health care. Oh, Elizabeth Warren was asked about Hochul, and Jeffrey's not endorsing Mamdani yet. Says Mamdani's the one on the front lines fighting for the working class families, and it's a message Democrats should embrace.
New York City is the place to start the conversation for Democrats on how affordability is the central issue, the central reason to be a Democrat, and that delivering on it in meaningful, tangible ways that will touch working families is why we're here. So New York City is
Satisfying, but when push comes to shove, they release the hounds on you and label you as disruptive if you take action through assembly. Yeah, but that's just a part of the process, baby. Like I always say, you got to be undeniable. You got to be unavoidable, okay? You have to be a force to be reckoned with.